Hi friends, welcome to Law Chat with Girija. I'm Girija Bhargav Patel, your host for Law Chat, and I am so excited for you to join us today. I have some amazing guests on Law Chat, and they're here to share their experiences and entrepreneurial journey with us, and through their storytelling, mentorship with us, because that is the whole point. We are all entrepreneurs and we're all on a journey, and learning from one another is the best way for us to move forward in our journey as well. And I have amazing guests who are so willing and ready to share their stories with us, their challenges and their victories and their achievements, and also their mindset. I just can't wait to share that with you, and I also just can't wait to have that conversation with them. It's such a privilege to have each and every one of them here with us today, and also it's such a privilege to have you listening in and tuning in. So let's dive in to Law Chat with Girija.
Hi friends, welcome to Law Chat with Girija. Have you ever felt your knees buckle or your tongue twisted and tied up just like mine right now when your video hits record? Well, I do, as I'm showing it right now with you. And today I have an amazing guest on the show today, Cheryl Tan. Her goal is to demystify the world of media and video. And I know, and you know, that video is super important in today's business and also in marketing. And so I'm so excited to have her here today to learn from her and to also learn about her journey, how she started out as someone in the news as an anchor, and then from there evolved into starting her own consulting business, Cheryl Tan Media, and then also having a podcast. So here is Cheryl Tan with us today to teach us everything about video and then also share with us her journey. Welcome to the show.
Oh, Girija, thank you so much for having me on your show. And you just made me laugh because you said, had you ever hit record and then you go, oh, what have I done? I do that all the time.
Yeah.
So I want you to know that
it
doesn't go away. The nervousness and the fear and the anxiety doesn't necessarily go away. But having the skills that you kind of tap into to overcome that fear and press record and publish anyway, that's what I work with my clients to develop. It's that skill, and it's a lot of fun to do that.
I love that. I know. I was reading, I went onto your website, and then of course I was just kind of doing a little research on you. And I just love how your goal is to help others embrace video and really take away the fears that are so built in us, and then projecting ourselves on the video as well. And I think it's so true because a long time ago, when I was in my past life, when I was a prosecutor, one of a very seasoned attorney, somebody who I totally looked up to, and he had said to me that if you don't have butterflies in your stomach each time you go into trial, something's wrong with you. So that always puts me at ease whenever I'm a little stressed about performing or presenting, because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. And I love that you are teaching that to other business owners, because in today's world, marketing is all about video.
Well, video is really just a connection point. And I love what that prosecutor said is 100%. If you don't go into a situation feeling the nerves, to me, that means that maybe it doesn't matter as much. And so each time you show up, maybe you feel the nerves because you really want to do a good job. And nerves are fine. It's just not letting it stop you. That's what the goal is.
I love that. That is so true, because it really does represent what the fear is kind of representing itself, right? So that is so beautiful. So tell me, before you started though, Cheryl Tan Media, how did you get there? How did you, I know your history is such, your bio is such, where you are, you're a producer, you're a host, a reporter. Where did it all start?
Well, it did start on TV way before I had any business being on TV. My first job out of college on television was in Macon, Georgia. So I live in Virginia. I grew up in Virginia, and my first job in TV was in a state I'd never visited before, in a market I had never been in before, which was good because I didn't know anybody in that city. And I was thrown into reporting, which is what I do with the people I work with, is I make them create video right away to get their feet wet. And I worked my way up, and I'm sure that people who are listening to your show, Girija, they know what it's like to work your way up in a career.
Yeah.
to work your way up in a job, and you think this is what you want to do, and you work your way up and you get to a certain point, and then you look around and you're like, this is amazing. That's what I felt, is I
Mm-hmm.
got to a point where I was anchoring and I had a great schedule and I loved what I did. I loved the people I worked with, but then I looked around and I said, I think I want to do something different.
Yeah.
I think I can do something more. So you work your way up on a professional level and you look around and you're like, ooh, I want something different. So it's kind of scary at the same time as you're thinking, why would I want to leave? Shouldn't I
Mm-hmm.
just stay and like reap the fruits of the labor that you've put together, all the things that you've done to get where you are? But I looked around in the newsroom one day and I said, I think I can do something different. I want to start my own business. So that was
Wow.
6 years ago.
Oh,
So I'd been on
wow.
camera for a long, long time. And then I
Yeah.
decided that I wanted to create something for other people and started my own business then. So it's been, it's going on almost 7 years. It'll be 7 years
Oh,
this year.
that's wonderful. And so when you started off though, as a, in the video and the reporter in the media, how did you do that? Did you know in high school or in college, I'm doing this? How did you just did you stumble into it? So what happened at that point?
We were talking before the show, before your show, Girija, about the power of mentors.
Yes.
And And for me, that's where it developed. I went to the University of Virginia and I thought I was going to go into radio news, to be honest. I was working at the off campus radio station in college. And I thought, okay, well, I'll just do radio news. This seems like a fine enough career. I clearly didn't plan on making any money, but I thought that's what it is. And my news director there at the time, she was a former UVA grad. She pulled me
Mhm.
aside and she said, I really think you should do TV news. And I was like, I don't know what that is. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And she said, I really think you should think about that and explore what that could be and what that could mean for you. And so I did. I
Mhm.
listened to her. I trusted her. And at the time I was a senior. I was a fourth year at UVA. So I didn't really have the time
Mhm.
to figure that out. So I started working for free. I
Yeah.
graduated from college. I worked for free in a couple of places. I worked paid work in a couple of newsrooms to do video editing, which actually
Mhm.
ties into what I teach right now, oddly enough.
Right.
But I did what I had to so I could get my first foot in the door in television news.
Right. And then when you started and you got that foot in the door, when was it when you first went on video and you were just like, okay, here I am, here's Cheryl.
Terrified, so scared, wondering why in the world am I doing this, and why would somebody put me on camera? Because this was before a lot of things. It was before the internet. It was
Right.
before I figured out how to use makeup. It was before I figured out like what colors went together.
I love that.
And there I was on camera. And still to this day, people send me clips. They must have like recorded it off the television or something. I don't know how
Yeah.
they did it, but they send me clips and it's frightening and scary. And that's scary, let me tell you that. But you put one foot in front of the other and you keep going. And
Yeah.
one of the things I always say is you're only as good as your last video, which means two things. Which means if you only create one video and it was fantastic, then that's still you're only as good as your last video. So if it was 20 years ago, it was 20 years ago. It was 20 years ago hair, 20 years ago
Mhm.
makeup, 20 years ago everything.
Mhm. Mhm.
But what that also means, if you have video that you create, maybe it's you being interviewed, which is video, or video that you create on your own using your phone, that if you create one video, let's say today, then you create another one tomorrow, you create another one next week, you're only as good as your next video. And every time you create video, you get better, which means
Right.
they're not going to remember the one you did today. They're going to be
Yeah.
remembering the one you created or you will create next week or next month. So it just means that you need to keep creating, but you're only as good as the last one you make.
Right. Right. That's so true though, because I remember when I first started creating videos, it wasn't easy. It was most definitely very vulnerable and very scary, especially, you're wondering, what's so-and-so going to think? Or what are they going to think? Or what's my colleague going to think? What are other lawyers going to think about me? And you just kind of have to like let that go. because you're choosing to take this path for your business or, for your profession.
What I've learned is they're going to think, you're going to think they're going to think what they're going to think.
Right.
So you're going to think whatever, but they're probably thinking, and they're not going to say this to you, but they're probably thinking, wow, that Girija, she's really awesome. And I wish I could do the same thing, but they're too scared to do it.
Yeah. Cheryl, you just made my day right now. If I say that.
I hate to interrupt this awesome conversation, but I have to stop and talk with you about the number one thing I'm asked about by entrepreneurs: contracts. They're vital to any business relationship and to protect your business. But I also know that entrepreneurs, especially when you're starting up, money is tight. But I would never want you to compromise on a strong legal foundation. So enter yourcontractbuddy.com, a website created by me with contract templates created and drafted by me and fellow industry partners. They're ready to use and easy to plug in immediately, and they are not restricted to any specific state. So yourcontractbuddy.com is sponsoring this episode, and you and your listener can get 10% off right now with code LawChat. Yes, you heard me right. 10% off right now with code LawChat. And now back to our awesome conversation.
I think we do underestimate ourselves a lot. And when you were also, before you started your own business, what were some areas where you were just like, gosh, you're underestimating yourself, or you're letting yourself get into your head? And then how did you break out of that as you were evolving in your career path at that time?
We're all human, and I think we all feel that same way in every aspect, honestly. The thing about being in television news that helps you move past some of that is everything is visual. People say, oh, you didn't get the job, don't take it personally. Well, in television news, it is actually exactly the way you look. So you have to take some things personally, because it really is. It's right. Maybe you're not the right, you're not the right look for whatever the news director or the news organization or whatever place you're trying to get the job at. You're just not the right fit. Okay, get that. The thing that can help you is if you look at it simply as a job. So not truly not taking it personally like it is something on your character if you don't get work. But when you are sending out, and this is back in the day where you would actually send out videotape of you on camera, which you don't do that anymore. You send links to your YouTube channel. But let's just say you're sending out links to your YouTube channel, and you send out so many, like you send out dozens and dozens to news directors around the country. You have to, otherwise you go crazy. You have to really look at it as fit. So you look at it as your video, your reel, your video resume tape being a fit for the news director who's looking at it. If you look at it as, okay, I've sent out 400 emails, or maybe you even put it on a disc of some sort. So let's say I've sent out 400 discs with my videos on them and nobody responds. Boy, that can be a real bummer for you. But if you look at it instead as, okay, I sent out 400 and it didn't pan out, but I'm going to really make a connection with this news director or that news director. And then the one that is the right one will be the right one. Okay. So to go back, what that means is when you're in a business where you have to send out video after video, and you're going to get rejected by some amount of them, you really you get to the I don't care phase. And so you just hit send. you get to the point as you get hardened by it and you're like, okay, whatever. And then you hit send. Right. So the good thing I think about being in a business where it is so focused on metrics like how you look and whether your video got certain amount of shares or, the past stories that you've done, that kind of thing, is you get hardened to it and you just sort of get used to pushing it out, and the no's don't matter so much.
I get that. I think also, as small businesses, they might be pushing out their videos, one, to either get business in, but then also to even be a part of other events where they can be speakers or be an educator or, collaborate with somebody else. And I think that sometimes can be really scary as well, because I know sometimes they're asked for like, oh, send us a clip of this video or that video. And you're just like, oh goodness, I'm scared. And so how do you overcome? I know you were like, you've done it so many times, but for the person who's not done it so many times, what would you say to them to overcome that and press the send button?
Okay, so first, listen to the first part of this interview that you've put together, Girija, because I want you to hit send, right? Hit send. But the second part of that is the video, even though we are trying to be considered for a spot on stage. Maybe we want to be interviewed by a certain podcaster. Maybe we want to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, give me you on camera. So they want you to create a video to sell them on that. We always think that the video is about us, and it is in a sense, but really we need to be doing homework on that speaker panel, on that podcaster, on the show that is looking for their next host. Mm-hmm. Really what we need to be focusing on is how we can come across as someone who understands their needs. So I would never start a video by saying, hey, my name is Cheryl, I'm fantastic. And I think that we as people who, maybe we're reading the parameters for whatever video we need to create, we're reading that, we're thinking, oh, I need to save that in a video. No, please do not do that.
Right.
Not want you to do that. If it is somebody who's wanting you to pitch yourself to speak on their panel, really the most important thing is to see if you are qualified to speak on that panel and what they're looking for to round out the list of panelists. And usually they're pretty specific because they want to, and I, as someone I've picked speakers, I've watched videos, I've created videos of people. I really want the person who is sending me a video to understand what it is that I want. I really want them to understand. If I'm creating a women's event and I'm putting together a list of a group of people who can help small business owners grow in their company, well, I need certain skill sets on that panel to help the business owners in my audience. So then you come from a different place. You really come at a place of helping me as the person who's picking the panel. You help me understand what skills you bring and how you can solve my problems.
I think that's such great advice because I also believe that because of so much social media, I think people kind of forget to focus of why you're doing what you're doing for who you're doing. And doing your homework is number one. I mean, it's like even applying for a job somewhere. You want to do homework on the company that you're going to be applying for and who they are, why they're so good, what they're known for, and then how you can add value, just like you were saying. And that's such great advice that even if it's a speaker and you're just a little small 1% of that company's business, but how are you going to add value to their business? And doing homework is so important. I can't tell you how much I think that's such great advice because you're educating yourself, you're preparing yourself also. And then, so when you deliver, your delivery is from a place of educated information and not ignorance or self-righteousness, entitlement.
Or I'm so greatness. We don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, so, and you might be amazing. You might be an awesome speaker and very charismatic, but you're right. I think that is so true that we must do our homework on whoever we're trying to pitch to or collaborate with also.
Right. And coming from that space means a lot. For the person who's watching that video, if you come from that space, they'll feel that.
I think so too. Like, even when, if I'm hiring somebody, I actually am like, oh, so do you know about my business? Do you know what I do? And when they say no, it's kind of like, okay.
Exactly.
I completely agree with you. I'm going to actually go back to your journey a little bit more and kind of dig deeper into that. So when you were pivoting from doing, being a professional, being in the news station and an anchor and reporter, and then you pivoted to your own business, what was that like? How did that pivot look? And what were some of maybe the limiting thoughts that you might have had or challenges? And how did you overcome them?
Leaving a career the only career I had ever known was probably one of the scariest things I've ever done. Like, I thought it was scary the first time I was on the air. Oh no, that was nothing compared to saying goodbye to a career that that you work your way up to grow and develop. But I felt really strongly about it. And I was lucky in that I was able to get clients right away. I was able to talk about it, talk about what I did, talk about what I was going to do, even though at the time, let me tell you, I didn't know what I was doing. No clue. This was 6, 7 years ago, had no idea, but somehow I got clients right away. And in the very beginning, what I really thought I knew how to do was read from a teleprompter, and that was it. I really thought that was my only skill set that I brought to the table to a business owner. And thankfully, the clients that I've worked with have helped me understand that it's more than reading from a teleprompter. But in the very, very beginning, my first clients were really focused on writing, because in the newsroom, I was a reporter, I was an anchor, I did a whole lot of stuff in the newsroom that I felt writing wise would be more successful to turn that into a business. So writing and public relations, that kind of thing. So my first clients right out of the gate were like newsletter type stuff, like writing stuff. And then it was also PR related. So I would help local companies connect with fellow journalists and help them figure out the storylines in their company to help them get featured in the media. And that went on for a couple of years. And then the video revolution hit. Then it was, if you'll remember, Blab, Periscope, Facebook went live. So all of these social media platforms opened up an opportunity for anybody with a phone to create their own platforms. And I looked around and I was like, hang on just a second. I've been on camera for many, many years. I've made every single mistake live. One of the things people have always said to me is, you help me feel so comfortable on camera. What if I can turn that into a business? And from there, I started making that shift from PR really to helping companies, business owners create their own platforms, and using video to be that linchpin to create that content that connects with their audiences and creates clients. So that's where it started.
Wow. And then what was the time span between that when you first started and then realizing the shift in video and the platforms?
It was about 1.5 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And I was still trying to figure out like accounting. I was trying to figure out a lot of things. And then I've got 3 children, figuring out their thing. And it was something that I would not have given up. I wouldn't have given up any of it, none of it. The job that I had, and then moving into the business that I have now, I would never have changed it. It has certainly gone through pivots. It went through a pivot last year after COVID. So all of that has changed, and just because of business being nimble. Us being as solo business owners or business owners with small teams, being nimble is part of our power.
Yeah. So true. And then, so when these pivots are happening, what are some of the things that anchor you? Or what are the thought processes that anchor you so that you are not getting lost in the season of pivot, but you're still allowing yourself grace to pivot?
Right. What a great question. That is such a great question, because sometimes I think we don't actually take a moment to think about that. We always feel like we're in reaction mode. We're always like, oh my goodness. Like, for example, when COVID happened, I realized I had a local business. I didn't realize it until that point, but I had a local business. I was working with local companies, helping their marketing teams with video creation and strategy. And when COVID hit and everything was locked down, I lost a good chunk of business. And I was like, ooh, we need to pivot. We need to think about things before I throw in the towel.
Right.
I wouldn't do, but it really makes you think when times are tough. You're like, what do I do? Do I go back to what I always knew before? Do I go back to a job? Do I try and find something else? Do I create new lines of service? Do I find new clients and customers? And part of that is grounding yourself and really taking a minute and
Right.
saying, okay, what are my strengths? Where are my relationships? And what can I do to add more value and create more opportunity? Which is what I did. And I think that's what I do in every season is you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, what are my strengths? Who are my relationships at this point in time? And how can we connect the two to create value?
That's great. I think sometimes you're right. When 2020 hit and COVID hit, the overwhelm of that climate took over. And unless you had something to anchor yourself to where you could stand steadfast, but then still know that I'm going to be okay. And so, yes, I think those are great questions to ask, so I love that. And so as you're pivoting in the different seasons and now video has become this revolution that's happening in the whole video and social media scene, I know you were saying that you're focusing more on the video, but how has that changed or how is that different from what you used to do in the newsroom and having tons of people there as opposed to now sitting in a room and taking your own video? And so
It's hugely different, but still there's a thread. And when you're in a newsroom, you are one part. I was the reporter. I was asking the questions. I was the host. I was pulling together the copy, if you will. I was writing all the stuff so the stories seamlessly go together. And you have a videographer who shoots your video, who edits the video, who makes the finished product go on the air. I kind of mastermind the whole thing, but the videographer has to put it together. Otherwise, we don't have a finished package.
Right.
So I've been around a lot of videographers over the years, some really incredible talent who can light well, who can shoot amazing video, who have great timing, it's just so good. And so I've watched them, and over the years, I've picked up some editing skills, and I never say I'm an editor. I never say I'm a videographer. However, I know how to do all of these things.
Right.
What this means for my business now is I work with marketing teams primarily, and I really work with them to turn their knowledge into valuable video. And my thing is that there's an opportunity for us as marketers, as business owners, as experts to create content. And there's also like another level of that for you to bring in professional videographers. There's a time and a place for you to use your phone, like I have right here. And there's a time and a place to hire somebody to shoot video for your website, or if you're speaking on stage, to shoot that speaker reel that will be playing on one of the big screens. So I work with my people to help them use their phones so that they can save their money up to have a videographer shoot the stuff that's going to be on their website. The video that I help them with is to really help them use their cell phones or their laptop, their iPad to shoot video and edit video enough so they can create connections through social videos like on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook. Or YouTube, actually. That's a huge one as well.
Yeah.
We as amateur video creators and editors, we can all day long shoot video for any of those platforms and edit video for any of those platforms. I like to leave the professional stuff to the professionals.
Right.
The stuff that's on your homepage of your website, the stuff that's for the big screen, leave that to a professional. But I am well capable of helping you use the stuff you have to create great stuff with stuff you have. Because that's what we did in the newsroom. You use what you have and use those skills and then level up when you need to and hire up when you need to do that, when it makes sense.
Okay, so this actually takes me to another question I had for you is that I like how you distinguish between professional video and, amateur phone, that level video also. And so for the person who is just starting their business or in the first 5 years of their business where money can be tight and you're just trying to bootstrap or use it for other things that kind of are moving the needle a little bit more, what would be your top tips for them on creating a video for their businesses?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is it's not even so much a budget thing. It's more of an accessibility thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you decide that you're going to create videos every day for Instagram, or you're going to create reels for Instagram or for TikTok or whatever, it doesn't really make sense to have somebody come in to shoot those videos. It really just makes more sense, and it saves you money as a benefit for you to shoot it yourself. And that's kind of what I teach people is your marketing teams, you as a solo business owner or as someone who's the head of your organization, it's easier for you to shoot your own videos if you know very simple things that we're going to talk about right now. Is it just makes it so much easier. It's just accessibility, and it saves you money. So that's kind of the first thing I would say is for somebody who wants to start creating video and who just wants to get better at it, is to start creating video. So I'm holding up my phone right now because I'm going to challenge Girija. I'm going to challenge you and your listeners and your viewers to really think about this, is to talk to yourself. And one of my students actually came up with this. I had them create videos every day, but I never called it this. But he just says, Cheryl makes you talk to yourself. So every morning, this is not a video that you're going to share with anybody, although you could if you wanted to. Maybe it's good enough that you can. But in order to create this idea in your head that you're going to do this, you're basically creating a habit. Video is a muscle. You're creating this habit is you're going to open up your phone and you're going to turn it to selfie and turn it to video, and you're going to spend 30 seconds of the start of every day talking to yourself. Maybe you're going to say what you learned yesterday.Maybe you'll talk about the agenda for the upcoming day. Maybe you're talking about what you're excited about for the week ahead. But every day, if you make a date with yourself to shoot a video, you're going to find it a lot more fun than you thought.
Yeah.
B, you're going to feel more comfortable on camera because you've done it already and it becomes a habit. And C, if you actually start watching the videos, which you should, you start watching the videos, you might find some really, really good videos in there that you may want to post on social media. So this one thing will do 3 things if you do it consistently.
Okay. That is so good. Such great advice. Talking a little bit about watching your video, I have the hardest time going back and watching myself. I'm more inclined to just press send or post as opposed to like actually going back and reviewing it. How do you overcome that?
You call a friend and tell that person to make you watch your videos. The only way you're going to get better is if you watch them. There are things that we all do. Every single one of us, maybe we were saying all the time. Maybe we're using our hands in crazy ways. Maybe we have this tick that we've never noticed before, but you won't notice it until you watch the video. It's the only way. So have a friend call you every morning and say, hey, Girija, did you watch that video that you made yesterday? Or set a reminder on your phone. Right. But I know it's painful. It's painful for me too. Trust me, it is super painful, but it must be done.
So it's essentially you're just saying, I like how you said earlier that video is a muscle, and it's literally just a creature of habit. So if you just keep on doing it, keep on practicing and getting more and more comfortable with it, then you'll be comfortable enough to kind of put yourself out there as well.
Right. And remember what I said earlier about your videos. The last video is the one that people remember.
Right.
Well, the same goes for you. If you have done 30 days of video, then that first one is probably not your best. But the day 31, probably pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll just get better from there.
And so now that, we have all some of the fears that people have with video. So what are some of the myths or the misunderstandings that people have who are not, who are not as well exposed to videos or have that much experience with it? So what are some of those, if you had to debunk something about videos, what would that be?
Stop the RAV. And RAV stands for Random Acts of Video.
Okay.
You know what that is, right?
Okay.
It means that somebody who's listening to this or watching this, they're like, oh, I'm going to do video now. Cheryl says do video. And then you go and you create a video and you put it on your Instagram, and it's the only video for like months. That's a random act of video. And then you're like, oh, video doesn't work. No, it's because it is not creating a relationship necessarily. It's not a consistent thing that people are watching and waiting for. The thing that's successful about news programs is to watch them at a certain time. And it used to be, like a long time ago, it used to be people would watch the 6 o'clock news and they would set their clocks by it and they would watch the news at 6 every day with their family. Now, of course, that doesn't happen anymore. However, the news is on often enough that you sort of know, okay, I need to watch the news in the morning. It's probably on at 6 a.m. It's on at noon. It's on between 5 and 7 in some cities. So if you really needed to know what's happening, for example, if it's snowing or a snowstorm is coming or a hurricane is coming, you know where to go. And that's what you want to be, is you want to be appointment viewing. If you tell your audience, oh, I've got a YouTube video coming out every Tuesday, you want to be consistent enough that you meet the deadline and that they know to expect your video every Tuesday on YouTube. Just being respectful. If you're going to say to them, okay, I'm going to shoot this video and have it up by X time on this day, you can expect it. So they know it's there.
Yeah, I've heard, I think that's something that really resonates with everybody's consistency is key. And then plus that becomes a habit also, but consistency allows people to know what to expect and also what to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. And it's how you build an audience. It's how you build a relationship with video. It's how you can create that connection. So it's not just a random active video, just something that you plop down there on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever and say it doesn't work.
Right. And then talking about Instagram and, TikTok and Reels, what are some tips that you could give to us about creating those videos? Is there like a certain plan of action that we should have when we're trying to figure out what to do with those?
I would say the first thing is to figure out if it makes sense for your business. I get the shiny object syndrome too. I get it because Reels are compelling. TikTok is compelling. A lot of these things are very compelling. And right now, if you're really looking at algorithms and you're looking at what's hot, those are hot. And it could make sense if you're in a certain industry and you have a certain type of audience that could benefit from it. The algorithms on Instagram are really focusing on Reels. I mean, I've heard that all along. The first thing I would say is to really look and see if it makes sense for your people. If your people would watch it. And chances are maybe they would. And if you determine it's not just shiny object syndrome and that you have something that you could sell on the back end of it, that there would be a path to a product or a service of yours that you offer, if you figure that out and the answer is yes, then I would write a script. I'm really big on writing scripts and not winging these things, because that's when you may get into trouble, especially since Reels are short. They're like 30 seconds. Yeah. And that means if you're using this for business, it's different if you're using it to entertain. That's very, very different. But if you're using this for business, then it really is important that you really think about the path for your viewer and scripting out what it is you want your viewer to know and understand about you and what you offer.
That's so true. And then, so to create that engagement with the viewer, what kind of videos would you suggest are like some good go-to basic content that you should always be pushing out?
Do you mean Reels wise, or do you just mean in general?
In general, I mean,
gotcha.
It could be Reels. Reels could, interrelate with that also. But in general, if somebody is like, okay, I'm going to start this video plan for myself, and what are some basic categories that they should be talking about? Or I don't know if there's something that you teach in your program as a coach or in your consulting. Is there something that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a 4 video set to start out with. And the first one is a very simple introduction to yourself. Most of the time, if you're on social media, there's one that you're really all in on. Maybe it's YouTube, maybe it is Instagram, maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's LinkedIn. But there's an opportunity for you to use a video to introduce yourself. And I think I love that one because you have a chance to really show your personality. Hey, welcome to my channel. Here's what I offer. Here's what you'll get if you follow me here. And it really just gives the person who's been on your channel before a chance to understand what you do. And then for new people, it can connect you to what it is they might want to learn. So that introduction video is the first one. The second one is kind of two or three videos here. And it could be, you have an introduction video, you have a sales video that kind of explains what you offer, and you can create a sales video and then put that on your website. But then videos 2 and 3, so the sales video is number 4, but 2 and 3 will be kind of a Q&A video. There are questions that you get in your business all day long. For me, for example, the question is always, how do I get over my fear of being on camera? So I created a video. And chances are you get a whole number of questions from your audience. And I just answer that in a video. So if people ask me that in the future, I just direct them to that video that I made on how to get over my fear of being on camera. I direct them to my YouTube channel and that particular video where I answer that question. And so for you, the video 1 is going to be an intro. Videos 2 and 3 are Q&A videos. And then the 4th video is a sales video that explains what it is you do to help your clients, and then something on the back end, like a service or a product that you offer.
Oh, that's great. I'm actually I'm like taking mental notes, and I'm going to be employing those. I'm just thinking also, have I done that? And I'm like, I don't think so. So maybe in a roundabout ways, you might have done it, but it's really good to be intentional and purposeful, especially when you're trying to cultivate and grow your business in areas that might seem a little foreign or uncomfortable. So I think that's such great advice. I love that. And I'm pretty sure you've answered this already, but I'm going to ask you this too. How do you get over the fear of being on video?
Well, the first thing is to understand that we all fear that. We all feel the fear. We all have that nervousness, the nerves. The best thing really is to practice for real. And that exercise that we talked about, which is talk to yourself, that's one way. And the other way is to go on Facebook and open up one of those private, super secret Facebook groups. You can do that with you and like your other email, or you and a best friend, where it's just the two of you. And I use that as a testing ground a lot of times. I go in there and I'll go live in those groups. And I'm going live in those groups to check like settings and check colors and things like that. But for someone who's trying to get over their fear of being on camera, the best thing to do is to be comfortable with everything else. Be comfortable with the tech part of it. Be comfortable with the stuff that could go wrong. And that way, then you can really just focus on what's coming out of your mouth. But if you go live in your super secret Facebook group, then you can get all of that out of the way. So when you do it for real, then again, it just becomes the next video in your series. No big deal. Okay, I love that. Like, seriously, never thought about even doing that. So what a great hack. And also it's great to tech is also for me very debilitating. And so I try to minimize all my fears by literally practicing, but this is great. I love this hack. I think a lot of us can benefit from that. So that is so wonderful. I just love that. I think, you have shared such amazing tricks with us and such wonderful tips. And I know I'll be implementing those in my business. And, I know that you are now also so what are some of the services that you offer in your business, and how do you help, other businesses? Yeah. Well, thank you for letting me talk about that. I work with 2 types of clients. So I work with marketing teams. So if you have a nonprofit, you have an organization with a marketing team that doesn't currently do video, but wants to do video, I work with those teams to help them turn their knowledge into valuable video. So I teach their marketing team the tips and tricks that I also teach my solo business owners. So I have that corporate side, but then I also work with solopreneurs and experts and people who actually are in a career who want to start showing up on camera. Maybe they want to be speakers on their own. I work with them to be confident on camera so they can connect with their clients, customers, and potentially get that next job. So I do that through my community. It's called Master Video Today. So I have a free Facebook community called Master Video Today, but then I also have a membership community that offers more strategy, more fundamentals, and skill building to help them get to that next level of video proficiency, if you will.
That's wonderful. I'm going to be actually linking all of those to the show notes. So anybody that wants to reach out and, get some guidance from you, I know it's so helpful because video is, I think, so essential in today's business world. And also it's a gateway to connect you to potential clients or your audience in a bigger way. So I think that's
I love what
wonderful.
you said. The gateway is so true, and it's so shareable. Video is it's just a link to share. So having you in front of somebody else's audience just through a share is pretty powerful, and you actually don't know the benefit of that once someone hits that share button.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if you had one big advice to give to somebody today who has maybe not started video yet, what would that be?
I really encourage you to do my Talk to Yourself challenge. So just take that advice to pick up your phone, try it for 7 days, move up to 30 if you can, but try talking to yourself for 7 days and see how you feel after that. Because I feel like if you really take the time and watch yourself after you've created those videos, you will feel more confident because you're getting your thoughts out there on camera already.
Yes, I kind of love that. I'm going to start. I'm not even joking. I'm going to message you. I'm going to start it.
Let me know. I want to see your videos. I can't wait to see them.
Well, I actually, in the beginning of last year, 2020, I promised myself I'm going to post a video every single day on IGTV. Because I wanted to really cultivate my audience. I wanted to really connect with them. And it surely did help. It helped me also talk. And, I've always been a person who likes to be on stage talking. And that's been just one of the qualities of me. But at the end of the day, video is a totally different creature. It's so different. And then you're constantly looking at your hair, looking at the lighting. I've been doing that this whole time I've been talking to you. And so it is what it is. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be taking some of these pieces and of the tips that you've given and really implementing them into my business. But this is Law Chat, and so I do have to ask you: have you encountered any legal issues, if you can talk about it, or things that you were like, man, I really wish I knew that before this had happened?
I have not yet, but I appreciate the relationship with you, to know that there's someone who has the knowledge to help if something that you didn't expect becomes a problem. And I think that really is important, to have people in your world who can solve problems like that. So I appreciate the connection with you. I haven't yet, and I'm going to knock on some wood because I don't want that.
Yeah. And the thing is that I think a lot of times legal becomes very reactionary. Just the way how you were talking earlier, that instead of us being reactionary, we need to be more thoughtful, more proactive and intentional. And so pause. And I think even with law, sometimes we need to really pause and kind of observe what's happening in our business, whether or not we've actually faced legal challenges. But really stop and think about the holes that we have in our business and how we can fill those gaps by small little legal help right here and there. And I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we kind of look over that, glaze over the areas that we don't really want to pay attention to. So until,
yes, 100%.
It becomes really problematic. Well, some of my last few questions that I have is, one thing is how are you disrupting the industry? What is it that you are doing that sets you apart from somebody else that may be also teaching about videography and videos?
I'm really passionate about giving people a voice. I think we've found over the last year how important that is. And I do know how scary video can be. I know 100% how scary it can be. So I feel that through the things that I teach, the way I push my students, I feel like it's helping them understand that their voice matters, their stories matter. And once we give them the tools to get over that fear and to know kind of what's on the other side once they put themselves out there and hit send or publish, I feel like it really is getting people to share part of themselves that other people really need to hear. Because I get to work with the most amazing people, and other people need to know about it.
Yeah, we all have a story to share. And I think that's true. I think also like that exposing a little bit of vulnerability allows for connections to happen. So I completely agree. So some fun facts though. What's your favorite book? Or a book, personal, business, fiction, nonfiction?
I was looking at my bookshelf and I realized that one of the books that I go to over and over again is Story Brand by Donald Miller.
Love it.
So interesting. I think you had one of your former guests.
I did.
One of your past guests.
Yes.
I was listening to that episode and I was like, wait a minute. I love that Story Brand book. It focuses me and forces me to focus on simplicity in messaging.
Yes. Kelly was on my show some time ago, and she's one of the coaches for Story Brand. And it's such a beautiful way of presenting your business and, allowing yourself to be, again, intentional in marketing, but in a different way and having a different focus. And so I think, yes, I love that. And what are some of your favorite biz tools, apps, resources that even we could use?
Oh, sure. Oh, I've got quite a few. I really do. If you are editing video, I've got a couple that may help you. Okay. So I have an iPhone. I do use iMovie, which comes with the iPhone, so that's free. But I use InShot sometimes, which has a paid version, but mostly you can use the free version and be just fine. You can use that on Android as well for editing. You can edit the square videos, you can edit the horizontal videos. So it's actually it's a very powerful app, actually.
I have it myself. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's very good. Another one is an editing tool that I use that if you want a little more functionality, I personally like to edit on a desktop, but it has an app. It's called WeVideo. So when I shoot videos on my phone, I upload it to the WeVideo app, and then I actually edit videos on a desktop on WeVideo. So I really like that one as well.
Is it like WE?
WeVideo. It's pretty well known in the education space. But for any of us, it is very, very powerful. It's very powerful, I would say.
Okay. Love that.
And simple.
I'm going to be putting links to all of that too in the show notes, because I think sometimes we don't realize, and then our experts that come on here, they give us the best tools. And so you're like, yes, I love this. Well, how can we connect with you? How can we find you? And I know you have a challenge that's also coming out. So tell us a little bit about that and then how people can connect with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me talk about that. First, I would say I'd love for you to join my Facebook group. It's the Master Video Today. You can type in Master Video Today or my name and it should come up. But it's a Facebook group and we are going to be doing a video challenge in the coming days. So we'd love for you to be able to put your videos in there and share what you're creating. Maybe some of your talk to yourself videos you can post in there. But having a group of people who are also sharing video, it's inspirational. It's a little bit of positive peer pressure, which does work, by the way. Peer pressure works in general, but positive peer pressure also works, which is good. And if you're looking for any information about any of the programs that I offer, you just go to CherylTanmedia.com.
Okay, wonderful. And are you on Instagram too, or?
I am. I don't use it that often, but
Facebook is the place to be.
Well, I use YouTube. And I'm on all of the platforms. I'm not very visual, if you will, on them.
And then on YouTube, is it Cheryl Tan?
Cheryl Tan. Just Cheryl Tan.
Cheryl Tan. Okay, got you. I will be joining your Facebook group. And I'll be doing that challenge because I think I need to start getting myself more comfortable in video as well.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for being here today and sharing all your wonderful tips with us and your entrepreneurial journey. It was literally, I learned a lot, and I'm sure everybody else that is listening in has learned a lot too. So thank you so much.
Girija, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been so much fun.
Thank you so much for joining Law Chat with Girija. I love these kind of stories and conversations where we can be real, honest, and open, and having fun at the same time. I hope you are inspired and motivated to keep doing the amazing work you are doing. If this is something that gave you all those feels and then some, truly motivated and inspired for you, you can show your love in all or one of these ways. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and share this video with your community and tell them about it, or share with somebody that can benefit from it. I look forward to seeing you next time on another episode of Law Chat, and until then, keep moving forward. Bye.